we had discussed that right now this is the last 36 days of Moshe's life, and he's reviewing the past more than 40 years since the Jews were taken out of Egypt, even before that a little bit, slightly, and all their failings and their misgivings, and how ultimately Hashem came through for them, and every one of their moments of question was due to a lack of faith, and their behavior was not acceptable. And he's giving them Musar now, this rebuke, to understand that he's not going to be there in the future, to give them that level of clarity and perspective. They shouldn't repeat the mistakes of the past. That's the value of what he's speaking to them. However, why does Moshe believe he's not going in? Because he was told by Hashem after he had struck the rock that just as his brother passed away, because they had the ability to sanctify Hashem's name by speaking to the rock, and he did not, identically, he himself also will not go in for the same reason. However, as the Gemara tells us, that Afilu Cherev Menachas al Tzavaro by Chizkiyahu Melech Yehuda, when he was on his deathbed, and the Navi comes to him and says to him, you will not come out of the sick bed because you did not procreate. And Chizkiyahu Melech Yehuda, king of Judah, says to him, Ben Omots. He doesn't refer to him as Yeshaya. He says, Ben Omots, you could leave right now. I have tradition from my father's household, from the Davidic family, that even if a sword is on your throat, one doesn't despair from Hashem's mercy. So what are you telling me? That it's all over? And he recovered. Because Al Yisrael Yishmin Rachmin. Is that a comparison to what's happening here? Here it's difficult. Hashem already said to Moshe Rabbeinu, you're not going in. And we've had this in the past. By the Chet Egel, why was Moshe permitted to supplicate Hashem? Originally he says, I will destroy them. Why was Moshe permitted to plead the case of the Jews that they should not be destroyed? So the Gemara tells us in Brachos, because Hashem says, Hanicholi, allow me to destroy them. I mean, if Hashem, you want to destroy them, do you have to ask me permission? Allow me to destroy them. So Moshe understood immediately that statement was an opening that if there'll be Midas Rachmim or not, it's up to Moshe Rabbeinu. Moshe Rabbeinu was able to restore and activate the attribute of Rachmim if he supplicates Hashem. Because Hashem said, Hanicholi, allow me. And we said the same thing by Sodom. Hashem comes to Avraham Avinu and says, I will destroy Sodom. Immediately he gets into a dialogue with Hashem, very strong dialogue. Maybe there are 50 tzaddikim, maybe 45 tzaddikim. I mean, how does Avraham Avinu have a right? If God said he's going to destroy them, how does he have a right to intervene and interfere with Hashem's decision? So we'd explained, because just as when he said to Moshe, allow me, that was an opening for him to supplicate, Rachmim, Avraham thought in his mind, if you want to destroy them, what are you informing me? Destroy them. So he understood the reason why he's informing him that he's going to destroy them is only that he has the ability to intervene and activate the Midas HaRachmim. So that's good regarding the Chet Egel and the interchange with Avraham Avinu in regard to Sodom. But over here, Hashem says you're not going in. So if you're not going in, how did Moshe have a right to intervene and disagree with Hashem when Hashem says it's over? You're not going in. Now, originally he had said, you're not going in. But factually, part of the conquest was the territory of Sichon and Og, which was given to the 2.5 tribes. Moshe Rabbeinu had understood from that maybe Hashem is giving him an indication that there's a chance that he could overturn the verdict. That the verdict could be rescinded, and maybe he could go in. And that was the basis for this tefillah, for this supplication now, Veschanan Hashem, Be'esahi, at this moment he understands it's time to supplicate Hashem. So first, let's understand what is the expression, the term veschanon. He could have said vespalel. There are many. The Midrash tells us there are 10 expressions of tefillah. 10. There's a question whether it's 10 or the 13. Veschanan el Hashem. So Rashi cites the Midrash. Ein chinun b'chol mokum el loshen matnas chinom. What he's praying to Hashem is, allow me to go in, meaning overturn the verdict, which it should not be based on my worthiness. Matnas chinam. It should be gratis. Could you imagine? Moshe Rabbeinu has so much merit. He took the Jews out of Egypt. Never questioned God, even afterwards. And as we spoke about how when he installed Aaron and his children to be the Kohanim, because he had forfeited that right because of what happened at the burning bush, when he overstepped his bounds, because expressing that level of humility was a disrespect. And he had to install Aaron and his children to be the Kohanim, which could have been his. And he did it with full joy. And he brought the Torah to the Jews, to this world. He supplicated Hashem. He broke the Luchas Rishonos, which closer would have been destroyed. There was a second set of tablets. He built the Mishkan. I mean, everything, every step of the way. You know what I mean? Moshe didn't have sufficient merit that he could attribute his right to Midas HaRachmim just based on his merit. Yet he's asking for gratis. Right now, it has nothing to do with me. It's purely your unlimited attribute of chesed. That's what I'm drawing upon. Ein chinun b'chol mokom el matnas chinun. It's gratis. The word chanun means gracious. It's only due to your graciousness you should accept my tefillah. Although tzaddikim, when they supplicate Hashem, they could base it upon their good deeds. They have a phenomenal record. When they supplicate Hashem, the basis for the request is gratis. Hashem had said after the Chet Egel, I will be gracious to those who I'm gracious to. Okay? Because Hashem had revealed to him that when you pray to Hashem, there is a midah, there is an attribute called chanun, graciousness. So he's coming only based on that. It's only due to the good grace of Hashem is he supplicating him. The Midrash tells us that a person has an obligation to circumcise his child. So Hashem says, if I wouldn't have given you a child, would you be able to circumcise your child? And if your wife did not conceive to have a child at all, you wouldn't have a child. Every aspect of opportunity in life is only because God created the opportunity. So what's your contribution to attribute it to your success? It's called bechira. It's called free choice. So basically, it's like I give you the check. I put all the money behind into the account to back that check. I said, just put your signature on it. That's all you have to do. To validate the check, to give it its value. That's all you have to do. And because you've done that, the amount of value is unlimited. But that's exactly every aspect of every person's life. What is bechir? What is choice? You just have to flick the switch. That's all it is. And even that, what do Chazal tell us? The Gemara tells us, if not for special siyata d'shmaya, God's divine assistance, you cannot beat the evil inclination at his game. It's only if Hashem wouldn't assist you, you've lost the game. So even when you attempt to make the choice, to succeed when you do make the choice, is because Hashem is there, backing you. So how much credit does one feel he deserves to be worthy that God should answer him. If a person recognizes the reality of everything, you feel, something, to a degree I'm on the take all along. I did something which is almost not noticeable, infinitesimal, and yet God has given away the full store. And that's exactly what Bechira is. Except the temptations are so overwhelming, we believe it's considered moving mountains. But you may move the mountain, but you just got to actually flick that switch. And the Yetzer Hara, what does he do? He always deludes us and allows us to believe it's not that. The Orach Chaim writes in one location that a person who's truly a tzaddik, understanding what it means to have the opportunity to serve God, he has no interest in reward. Just to the contrary, not that he has no interest. He feels he's privileged just to have the opportunity to serve Hashem. So he feels he is the full beneficiary. And he would do the mitzvah and be dedicated to serve Hashem, unrelated to reward, unrelated. And I always tell over the story with the Vilna Gaon. The Vilna Gaon, there was 1 year where the Esser crop was a very bad crop. And he sent out an agent already in Tammuz to seek out an esrog. And the Vilna Gaon told him, whatever the price is, just pay the price. Because when it came to doing a mitzvah, value had no relevance whatsoever. The mitzvah was crucial and key. So he sends out this agent, and he can't find out that esrog. Finally, it's during our Sesame Tshuva, the time between Rosh Hashanah and Kippur. For here is that there's a very wealthy man. He was able to purchase that special esrog that meets all the criteria of Pri Tzach Odor. And he goes, immediately travels to that city or the community, and he locates the person. He says, I'm looking, haven't left a stone unturned. I want to purchase that special esrog for the Vilna Gaon. And he's willing to pay any price. What are you willing to sell it for? The man says, I'm a very wealthy man. I don't need money. Don't need money. It's not for sale. And he just doesn't let up. He says, but the Vilna Gaon, he's such a tzaddik, he's this, he's that. What is the price that you'd be agreeable to sell it for? Because as we always say, everybody has his price. He says, I'll sell it on one condition, that I will sell it for the Vilna Gaon's share in the world to come. If he gives me his share in the world to come, I'm happy to give the esrog. The agent says, look, the Vilna Gaon said at any price, whatever price is, just buy it. And he agrees. He cuts the deal. They shake on it, takes the esrog, and the cost of the esrog was the Vilna Gaon's share in the world to come. Although, he wasn't able to be in touch with the Vilna Gaon, whether he'd be agreeable or not. I mean, you would say, would he be agreeable to pay that price? But he felt he had no choice. Travels back to Vilna with the special esrog. He's literally, this agent is shaking in his boots. He may have done something which is totally unacceptable, both to the Vilna Gaon, and if it is, so he misled the seller. Comes to the Vilna Gaon, and the Vilna Gaon says, so what did it cost? He says to the Vilna Gaon, it cost you share in the world to come. It cost you your whole life. He says, Baruch Hashem, I finally could do a mitzvah l'shma. I could do a mitzvah for the sake of God without reward. That was the Vilna Gaon's response. You understand? When the Vilna Gaon did a mitzvah, as a human being, we always speak of chesed shalemis. You can only do chesed shalemis only with a person who passed away, because even on a subconscious level, there's no reciprocation from the person you're doing the favor with. The Vilna Gaon, at some level, I'm doing it because maybe I have some conflict because I'm doing it for the sake of reward. Because if you read Ramchal says, Lishma in the ultimate sense is, even for sharing the world to come, is not absolutely Lishma. You're doing it selflessly, even if I'd receive no reward whatsoever. I'm privileged, and I am the beneficiary to serve Hashem. But we're all conflicted always, because there's always, at some level, that conflict. It's for that. The Vilna Gaon says, now, it's purely Baruch Hashem, now finally I can do a mitzvah l'shma. I gave away all my olam haba for that. That's Veschanon. Veschanon el Hashem, Moshe Rabbeinu understood that regardless whatever you accomplish, and nobody's accomplished was ever at the level of Moshe Rabbeinu's accomplishment, Nevertheless, he comes and he supplicates Hashem, gratis. It's only due to your graciousness should you respond to me. But I always said, when I told over the story about the Vilna Gaon, that the Vilna Gaon said, Baruch Hashem, I'm able to do Lishma. The value of that mitzvah Lishma had greater value than his whole Olam Haba. He received even a greater share in the world to come because he was willing to give away his whole Olam Haba, his whole world to come, for the sake of that mitzvah. That's how selflessly negated he was at that moment for the sake of doing that mitzvah.